What's going on, everybody? It is Shooting the Shit Uncensored, and you know who this is. It's the one and only Dad Bod God, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight I'm joined by my co-host, once again, joining me on another episode, and I'm excited to have him here. The one, the only, the man with the three largest legs in professional wrestling, the OG, the original greaser, Mr. Robbie fucking Zuko. How are you tonight, mate?
I'm doing lovely. How are you, my friend? You doing well?
Mate, I'm doing sensational. I'm excited to have our guest on this evening, Ms. Nikki Poteet. But before we get into our conversation with Ms. Poteet, we need to take a quick second to talk about our sponsor, and that is healthvape.com, ladies and gentlemen. Healthvape.com is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals. They help restore your energy while giving you the vital boost you need to get through your day. So go and check out healthvape.com. Like I said, all of their products, no nicotine. They're actually vitamin infused. From what I'm told, it's like vaping a friggin' Red Bull. So go and check him out. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount at your final purchase. Also, wherever you're finding us, I appreciate you for tuning in. We appreciate you for tuning in. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, all that good shit. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics, and it helps us reach more amazing people with more amazing conversations. So get to clicking. Without further ado, Rob, I think I've talked enough shit in this intro, don't you think?
Way too much already, but it's good. Keep it up.
Well, without further ado, let's get into our conversation with the one, the only, Nikki Poteet. Yeah! And we're live, people. What's good? Nikki Poteet, OG. What's good? Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. So excited to be here.
Hey, thank you very much for coming on. I feel like this has been a long time coming. Like, you and I have been working on shows for like the last 2 years, I feel. You and Rob more so. But I'm excited to have you on. Thank you for giving up your time on a Tuesday night to talk shit with us.
Oh, that's all right. Very happy to be here, and always with Mr. Robbie, original greaser.
So, you know what? I want to start it off, and you know what? This is a question that I've asked around like the scene about you, Nikki, because I've looked up on Cage Match, right? And I feel Cage Match isn't really a true accurate reading of someone's career in a lot of times, right? And I was trying to figure out where you got your start in professional wrestling. Was it in the States, or was it here when you first started getting into the business?
No, so I never wrestled in the U.S., which it would probably make more sense if I would have started there, but I didn't. So when I was in the U.S., I was in the pageant scene. So I competed at Miss USA. I've competed at Miss United States. Like, name any pageant system, I've probably competed in it. But I moved to Australia almost 9 years ago, and I think I had matched with someone on Tinder and was like, let's go to a wrestling show. And so I go to the show, and I'm just watching it, sitting in my chair going, okay, I think that's my next step. And I think it was a PWA show, or maybe a Newcastle Pro Wrestling show, and got in contact with Adam, who runs Newcastle Pro. And initially I was just going to get involved with doing their backstage interviews and that sort of thing. And he said, well, why don't you come train? And I'm like, hello, have you seen me walk down the street? Like, if I don't have heels on, I can't really do it. But he just said, come train with us. I can train you up. And that's really where it started. So that was probably almost 6 years ago now.
And
Wow.
and how did you feel like going into that world? Because I kind of feel like the pro wrestling world is kind of like a world all to its own, right? Like it's really like, you know, if you're not involved in it or know it, then you just like, you know what I mean? Like it's different from being a fan and then being in it and interacting. But how did you feel like coming into that world? You know, especially being from like a former Miss USA and coming from the pageant background.
Yeah, I was complete fish out of water. So scared shitless is probably more like it because I go into wrestling practice for the first time and I'm watching people like flip around and fall on this mat. And I kind of grew up watching pro wrestling, never as a diehard fan, but I'm from the South. So it's on the TV all the time. You know, I remember my dad going like, oh, they stamp their feet when they, you know, do the hits and you know, saying everything that he'd say about it. But, you know, my parents grew up watching wrestling as well. But yeah, it was a completely new experience for me. And I had a lot of fear going in. And so, you know, I practiced on mats at first, which were on concrete. So it was really hard. There was many weeks and months of not being able to walk and having a bad back and really feeling the pain from it. But yeah, it's just completely, you know, out of the ordinary for me. It's something that I never really thought that I could do, but it's one of those things that once you start and you know, you can trust yourself to roll and then you can trust yourself to shoulder roll and then you turn that into a flip bump. And it's kind of once you learn one thing, you can just keep adding onto it and your fear level just gets a little bit less and less.
Yeah.
But it's scary. Even now.
It's addictive. Do you agree? Do you believe that it's addictive?
Yeah, I do definitely see the addictive side of it. You know, like I said, you know, once you kind of learn one thing that you never thought that you'd be able to do, you open yourself up to, okay, well, now I'm comfortable, you know, jumping off the bottom rope. Now I'm comfortable jumping off the middle rope and I don't jump off the top rope like you, Robbie. I still am a chicken shit. So yeah, I do see the addictive side where
I'm scared to do it too. You know what I mean?
I saw you jump off the top of a cage and you were falling for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a slip.
That was
That
insane.
wasn't a jump. I slipped. So it was like, oh, I lost my footing. That's all it was. My
But
elbow
still,
was there. So,
yeah.
But
but,
how did
so when
you,
you, oh, you go, Piers. Go.
no, you go, Rob.
You go. No, I was just going to ask is so from there where you went from Hoffman's, did you stay there long? How long did you stay there for?
So I was there for about 6 months. So I was living in Sydney at the time and I was driving up twice a week for practice. Oh, where's Robbie? Did we lose him? So I was driving up to Newcastle twice a week for practice and it was just killing me. It was, you know, over about a 2-hour drive each way. So I was driving 8 hours a week just for wrestling practice. So I just made the switch over to PWA. So I trained there for maybe like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Are we getting Robbie back? Is he gone? Or can I just see him?
Yeah, no, he should be back in a minute. So
okay. Like, did he really just ask me a question and leave? Typical behavior out of him. I'm not surprised. But yeah, so I trained at PWA for about a year and a half, and I don't know, you know, everyone's got their little quirks and qualms about things, and ended up leaving there and going to Wrestle Strong out in Penrith, which anyway, do we want to get into that part? Or we'll just keep it all positive here, right?
No. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. So, like, you went from PWA, right? So PWA, everyone knows, and you know, world renowned knows about PWA. What was it about from PWA that made you make the switch to go to Wrestle Strong?
It was really that I was there for so long, and I personally didn't feel like I was progressing myself. You know, you are grouped in this beginner's class and they're making you practice all the moves with other beginners. And I don't think that when you're starting out in wrestling that you should be, leapfrogging over someone else or someone else leapfrogging over you that is a beginner as well. They had giant men leapfrogging over me. I'm like, one wrong move and, you're permanently hurt. So like, I think that's one aspect of training that they just didn't get right. And I think it put a lot of fear in me, and I was afraid to be doing these moves with other beginners that were, men and a lot bigger than I was. So, and there's, other things as well. Like I saw other students around me that, maybe didn't pick it up like I did, getting progressed to the next level. I went over actually to the US and I trained with, I'm drawing a blank on his name now, but he works a lot with PWA. He used to be a WWE trainer. So I went over there and trained with him. Quackenbush. Sorry, it's just like completely slipped out of my mind. So I trained with Mike Quackenbush twice. We did like 2 intense, like 6-hour sessions over 2 days. And I said, do you think that I'm ready to be put up to an intermediate level? And he was like, yeah, of course. Him and I worked out a match together. I learned so much from him. And so I went back and actually got my ankle broken by a rookie at PWA. It just said, that's enough. And so I left. That's enough.
How bad of a break was it? Like, was there surgery?
No, so it was a compression fracture and I didn't tear the ligaments. It was a severe sprain. So I was off it for about 4 months. It's still not the same.
Jeez.
But yeah, after I came back from, working with Mike and then that happened, I just said, okay, like I have to go. And I left and went to Wrestle Strong, which, like the training at Wrestle Strong is a lot smaller classes. And if there was something that I wanted to work on or a move that I wanted to learn, I could do that. So at PWA, you learn what they tell you to learn. And one thing that I noticed watching their matches, they all do a lot of the same moves. So you see a lot of moves repeated in all the matches. And, maybe in the higher level classes, you learn something different. But, me personally, I would never like leapfrog over somebody. Like, it's just not something that I would do. Some other moves like baseball sliding out of the ring, like I just can't do it. Yeah. And it's like, I felt like I was really pressured. Like, you have to learn how to do this and you have to learn how to do that. But people on their shows sometimes don't, do everything that we were having to master in training. So that's where, I really struggled with the training there, but, I did learn a lot of the basics and I'm grateful for my time everywhere. It just wasn't for me.
Sure. And like Wrestle Strong, what happened there? Because you kind of were like, yeah. So like, what was so? I haven't really heard much about it, Wrestle Strong. So this is kind of like,
yeah. So like, I had some really good training there, and I would train there, at least 3 days a week. But when I debuted, I had this character, Mindy Meltdown. And it was supposed to be this like sexy scientist type of thing. And I really just got turned into a cartoon character. And it's not where I saw the character going at all. So once I debuted, it was Blue Mountains Wrestling where I debuted. And then once I had my first match, I was getting contacted by Greg at AWF. I was getting contacted by All Star and eventually by AWE with Sammy. And so all these other promotions were like, okay, like you've debuted, you've had your training, come wrestle. And I was like, okay, fantastic. Well, Wrestle Strong didn't think that that was such a good idea. And the more that I started having matches and wrestling, the more that I realized that whole Mindy Meltdown character just wasn't working for me. And I just wanted to wrestle under my own name because I have a pageant history. I have my modeling history and everything, and I just wanted to be myself. And it just felt weird to me to have a different character or a different name. So I just wanted to be myself. And
I was surprised that Nikki Poteet was your real name, because when I was looking into it, I'm like, well, hang on a second, that's actually her real name, because I thought it was such a great working name. I thought it was brilliant.
Yay! Oh, really? Like, I don't know. You literally asked me a question and then left. So,
you're too
but
slow,
yeah, so we were.
So keep going, guys.
Yeah, but,
don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, so like Nikki Poteet is my real name, and like I said, it just felt odd having a different name, because I think people knew me, not that I'm super famous, but you know, people know me as my name, and if I show up as a different name, they're like, okay, what's going on? But yeah. I just wanted to use my real name, and the owner of Russell Strong was not happy with that, and I don't think that was the main reason. I was told that I could not work for 2 other wrestling promotions because suddenly she didn't like them. And I was told I had to back out of the shows, and I was on the poster. I had already confirmed, and I refused. And so I was politely, well, not politely, told in 400-page messages that I'm not allowed to come back to training. So, yeah.
You know what? Like, I think that in a way, and I think that's kind of like an old school carny way of really training someone in, because I feel like someone like you, Nikki, you come into the business, into wrestling, unique, right? Because you have a very unique look. You have a very unique history with the pageant stuff as well. You know, being from the US as well, being like that Southern belle, it's like they see dollar signs, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that they see money signs with that. They're going, if we have her, we're training her. She exclusively work. You know what I mean? Try and have that control over you. And you hear it all the time in the history of wrestling, right?
Yeah. And I just think it's so stupid. Like, everyone share. It's not like we have enough women to completely have a women's division in every single promotion. It's like, just share. Like, I'm sorry, not everybody's going to get along, but most of these people can't just grow up and focus on themselves, do what they're going to do. They're like, oh, you associate with that person, I can't associate with you. It's complete high school drama bullshit. And it needs to stop, and it needs to be called out.
I mean, but it's just catty, really, like when it comes down to it. And it's like you see it, blatantly, right? And it's like, I've never had anyone say to me, oh, if you talk to that person, we won't. Blah, blah. I'd be like, all right, cool, see you later. Like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'll stand by who I'm friends with, regardless. But like, it's ridiculous how that sort of behavior happens, because it doesn't happen anywhere else in any other.
So what do you think? What do you think it stems from? Like, why would they be that way? Do you think?
I think there's a lot of jealousy and people being threatened by other people in this industry. I think when I came into a few places, other females feel a bit threatened, and it just causes erratic, stupid behavior. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, but it happens in every single industry with women being like this. You know, okay, I want you to succeed, but not more than I have. Or just jealousy over anything, really, just existence.
See, that's the shit right there, right? Like, that's what sets women back, right? You look at like the evolution of women and where women stand now. You look at it in sporting terms, look at it in professional wrestling, look at it in MMA, boxing, all that. Women are now held at an equal standard, right? So that means the women need to lift their fucking game and stop all this pettiness bullshit, build each other up, because the more people you build up and get them higher, the more higher they're going to build you up as well and take you with them.
Exactly. And I think I don't know how true it is with every other promotion, but I know I experienced it when I was at Wrestle Strong. It was so anti the sexy, the sexy female wrestler. It's like, okay, no, we need to be like the boys, and we need to be big and tough, and we need to have this masculinity about us. And it's just something I totally disagreed with. That, like, what I loved about female wrestlers was just the sexy aspect. Like Maurice, for example, like she's one of my favorites. Just oozes sex appeal. Yeah, she came through as a bikini model, but look at how far she's gone and how she's proved everybody wrong and everything that she's done. So I think that's something that really is lacking in Australian women's wrestling is where's the sex appeal? Where is like that fun part of it? Yeah, we can be tough and all of this, but I don't need to be like one of the boys. Like I can still be me and be sexy and fun.
Yeah, I think you understand.
And you know what? Like
I think you understand the fact that.
No, go, Rob. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're right. It's just a bit lagging. That's probably why.
Yeah.
And I think you understand the fact that it's actually an entertainment first and foremost. So, well, big entertainment business. You think, okay, everything's what goes on the show, anything can happen. So it's not just about headlock takedowns and whatnot, traditional ways, because obviously that's all good and well, but you need more. So I think that's where you're coming from. You understand that there's actually a lot more that you can actually that you can give to professional wrestling than just actual wrestling. You know, it's the actual
right. We're there to be entertaining.
100%.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And it's like, okay,
absolutely.
I've heard men say it. They're like, oh, usually when the women come on is when we get up and go get a beer or go to the bathroom.
Yeah. That's what
like,
it was.
And like how it is now, like that's what's happening. So something has to give. We need to change it. And I'm not saying we have to go out in like a bra and panties, but I mean, that's what they used to do. But I think that we can just add, a bit more of that old school, sex appeal to it. And that can be for the women. Sorry, the boys don't get to do that, but we get to do that.
But I feel like if a promotion was like at a promotion in Queensland actually did, I think it was an evening gown match, or it may have been a bra and panties match. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was one of those concepts, right? And there was huge backlash on it.
Yeah.
Massive backlash on it, right? And it wasn't like, okay, what about I think actually one of the people involved in it was a dude. Like he was in drag wearing a dress and the other was like a woman. But it was like, what about the people involved in it? If they're not minding and the people are paying a ticket knowing this is what they're going to see, you're not obviously going to take your children to that show if you don't want your children to see that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. But also it's like the people complaining aren't the people that are in there doing it. If I consent to do it, then who's somebody to sit there and tell me that I can't? It's happened in so many even swimsuit competitions. Like look at Miss USA now. Miss USA has still kept swimsuit, but Miss America has not. So Miss America has gotten rid of swimsuit altogether. Miss America has gotten rid of evening gown altogether. There used to be a Miss Supercars competition here. The old school bikini girls with the flags, like that's completely gone because of people complaining about this. But I've competed in these competitions. I like it. If I think it's sexist or misogynistic or whatever, I'm not going to do it. But you're taking it away from the people that want to do these things because somebody else is upset. And it's someone that has no business being in the competition anyway that's usually upset.
Yeah, I mean, but it's usually the thing is gets me, and I've said this before many times, right? Is like, a lot of people want to turn around and say, oh, I want to be respected. I want people to take me seriously. Yep, cool. By the way, click the link in my bio to my OnlyFans. First 3 months is 50% off. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm going, what the fuck? Like, I'm supporting your whole cause, and then you drop that. I'm like, and this ain't against anyone who does OnlyFans. I'm all for it. Cool, go make money. But don't preach one thing and then fucking like don't preach this and then go do something completely 180.
100%. Yeah, you're exactly right. And like, if people want to do OnlyFans, that's fine. But I don't think that being sexy in the ring causes you to be disrespected. even though we're not wearing something sexy, like our asses are still showing anyway. And I've never had a man at a show come up and be disrespectful to me ever. Not one time. And I don't think it would ever happen because, you know, at the end of the day, we're real people, and I know how I conduct myself, you know, at the rest of the show, and I know how I conduct myself in real life. So I don't think I would ever have an issue or ever have a fear that some man would come up and disrespect me. Like, I think they know better than that by now.
I mean, with the amount of people that are around at shows that are working on shows, I mean, they could try it. It wouldn't work out too well for them.
Yeah, but that's not a fear that I have. So I think that we should be making a step to get back to, like, you know, the hot divas.
But do you think like what's the main thing that stops that though? Like, what do you think is stopping that?
I think the girls have just been given the mentality that that's not acceptable here. So I think that has to change. And maybe we do go find bikini models and train them up just like WWE did. Maybe we go do that. Or we just make it an acceptable thing. Because, hold on, my audio.
When you're saying it's we're not when we're saying we're not doing this, as in about
Okay, sorry. Everybody sounds like a robot in this audio. Do you want me to just try to fix it?
Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Yeah,
it's amateur hour 101.
It's amateur hour. But I think as well, like when you look at it like this, it's kind of amateur hour. But I think as well, like it's just the society that we live in now. Shut up, Rob. But I think it's just the society we live in now, where it's like, you know, even not just in wrestling, but certain things is no, this is not acceptable to sort of act and behave in this sort of way in public, or to be able to draw eyes to it. Because I think as well, like, you know, the fear of opening up those gates to doing what you're suggesting, Nikki, is like then having got like men coming to the shows and then those disrespectful comments starting to come. And I think maybe that could be the fear for some people. Do you think that could be one of the reasons?
I mean, maybe, but I've heard men yell really horrible things at some of the females, whether it be about their weight or their appearance. So I think regardless of what we do, some will have something to say.
Yeah.
So, you know, are we not going to have some girls out because of their size, or some girls out because of their hair color, because of the fear of what might be said about them? No, absolutely not. So I don't think this should be treated any differently.
Yeah, fair call. You know, with the sort of bitchiness and stuff that you have seen, like, have you ever experienced something like firsthand besides what happened at Wrestle Strong, like, of people like, you know, have you ever felt like you've been personally attacked? Like, not physically, but like just gone after?
Yeah, like not like physically in the ring gone after. But yeah, like I've had somebody show up and call me Nikki Tryhard. They gave me a script with what I was going to be doing in the match. Like, I just find it so insanely disrespectful to do that. And this was when I was a little bit more new, but I still knew how to put a match together, and I was trained. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And this other person showed up and basically gave me a script, which was all complete BS. Yeah,
she couldn't come and talk to you and have that conversation and say, hey, look, this is what's.
No. It was just a really awful experience. And there were things that went on after that with this person. So, you know, just her getting involved with, you know, someone who had physically abused me and befriending them and thinking that's okay. So it, you know, it goes off the little edge of like, okay, that's inappropriate for, you know, wrestling, handing somebody a script, to like something that's deeply personal against another female.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's somebody that I don't ever associate with, and I won't even give the joy of saying the name on your podcast.
That's fair. Whatever you want to say. But like,
a tough chick. I get over it. It's really rude and inconsiderate and disrespectful, and I don't act that way. I don't expect other people to act that way to me, but
yeah. I mean, I think, you give, like, I give the energy out that I get from people. Like, if I get a positive energy out, then I give it to them. If I get a negative one, I don't even put a negative vibe out. I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm just going to peace out from you.
yeah,
Because that's just, I think, the way to do it. And some people, just by going to that level of like, I don't know, like that seems a little extreme to go and befriend, like, your abusive ex to try it. You know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit, like I said, that's very, I think crossing the line in a lot of ways.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we're all in this business together, and I'm not saying everybody has to be friends or everybody has to like each other, but we should have each other's backs in certain situations, and just outside of wrestling, like woman to woman, for you to do that to somebody, it's just despicable, really. But it just shows you what kind of character they have.
But you know what? Like, when I hear things like that, and I hear that people go to the level like that, and all that shit, I just go, it's fucking wrestling. Like, I love wrestling, don't get me wrong, I really do, but fuck me, to go to that level to fuck with someone because of wrestling, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah. I mean, I love wrestling, but this isn't my whole life. I have a professional career. I have 2 engineering degrees. Like, this isn't what brings me money. This isn't what pays my bills.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think some people just take it a little bit too seriously sometimes. Like, hey, y'all, let's just kick back and have some fun and go wrestle.
Right? Yeah, it's exactly it. Yeah, I wanted to touch on the Miss USA stuff. So, like, let's talk about that. Like, you go through the pageantries. When did you start getting into doing pageants? Was this something you started as a child and sort of just went through with?
No, I wasn't a toddler in a tiara, unfortunately, but I did my first pageant when I was in 9th grade. So it was a high school pageant. I didn't win that one. But then I didn't do another one until I was in college. So I think I was probably 19. And then I started competing. So I just kind of figured it out on my own, and I started it on my own. My mom was like a little, pageant beauty queen, Miss Tobacco Festival, since she was a little girl, but she never put me into it, which I kind of wish she would have, but I was fine to just wait and start when I was in college. But yeah, I won Miss Virginia when I was 24. So I don't really compete that much anymore. There's not much in my age bracket.
But like, do you feel like your mum probably didn't put you in? Because like, you see a lot, like I've seen a lot of those documentaries and those miniseries of like these young kids, and it's like, I've got a little girl at 4 years old, and I would kind of not want to see her with so much makeup on her face because it takes away that innocence. Do you think,
Yeah.
that would have been your mum's whole like mindset about it?
Yeah, well, everybody's seen the toddlers and tiaras thing, and they think that all the little kids pageants are like that, but they do actually have 2 different systems. So there's the glitz, which is all the hair and makeup and fake teeth, and then they have natural, which is no makeup. No fake hair, no fake nails, no fake anything loud. But I think she just didn't put me in it because she had been put through it as a child. Yeah. And, maybe she knew something about it from living it that I didn't know. And I never really asked her why she didn't, but I don't know, it just wasn't a thing. Like, we were busy doing gymnastics or music or any other number of things, or reading. So, yeah, I'm fine that she didn't put me in them.
So winning Miss Virginia at 24, right? Then you go and compete for Miss USA. Is that the next one, or is that Miss United States?
Yeah. So I actually didn't win Miss USA. I didn't even place, but there's a few articles out about me that says I won Miss USA. Let that be your first step in reading it, that knows, okay, this article is not, it doesn't have the whole truth in it. So yeah, everyone's blasted me out as Miss USA, but I actually didn't win. Actually didn't even make top 15. But the year after, I competed at Miss United States. So you have Miss USA, Miss America, and then Miss United States was kind of like a third level. I probably should have never competed in it. The director of that was a complete scam artist. It's a completely different management and under different direction now, but back then just complete scam artist, and screwed over a lot of the girls. But I did win that pageant, but I ended up resigning after about 2 months.
Yeah, because I read an article, the one that you were talking about, Miss USA, and then like you posed a selfie or something with a wine bottle, and then it was stripped from you. And I'm thinking, like, this is someone in their early 20s having fun on social media, and you're gonna like strip them of like an award? Like, really?
No, so I was never stripped of that. I resigned, and the director begged me not to, and there was just too much drama. I was in a car accident in 2012, and he accused me of like being on drugs or something, and that was obviously never the case. Did not do that. I worked in nuclear. I was a nuclear engineer at the time. We got drug tested, at random. It's just something I don't partake in. But he spread these rumors about me to try to split me up from my best friend, John Paul, because we started running pageants of our own. It's a big, crazy, convoluted pageant world, but he was upset that sending my girls to the USA system, not to the Miss United States system. So, yeah, it's just as bad, but I actually resigned. I said, nobody's going to split me apart. My bestie, and I left. I quit. I even gave him back the crown and sash, which I didn't have to, but I did, and he gave it to the first runner-up. Didn't even buy her a new one. Cheap.
Wow.
But, yeah, but
it's amazing.
I've never given my side of the story because I just don't care anymore. It doesn't affect me. They thought that they were going to destroy my life with everything they've said, and it's not happened. So I just keep going on it.
Man, that's wild. Yeah, because I was reading it and I was just like, this story just seems insane. Like, it was just saying, I was reading it and I was like, this just sounds too ridiculous to be true.
And it is. Like, if it sounds ridiculous, like, it probably is. But, some people believe everything that they read on the internet. And some people don't. Like, you'd be really shocked at what the news can get away with writing that is false. And just sit tight. It's coming.
Yeah,
Stuff is coming out about all of that. So just sit tight. You can have me back on after it all airs so I can talk about it.
Absolutely. We'll get you straight back on. Like, is this airing from where is this going to be coming from? Like, from people over
I can't really talk about it now. But yeah, so some news people have said some things about just some happenings within the court system they shouldn't have. And they'll be taken down for it. So just sit tight.
Well, you let us know. We'll definitely get you back on for that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the whole pageantry thing and wrestling goes kind of hand in hand in a lot of ways? Like, is it very similar, like those worlds? Like, after you explain it, both me and Robert just going, fuck, it's right. You know what I mean? Like, did you see that once you got into wrestling, the similarities between the two industries?
Yeah, I did. So they're both equally as fake. Yeah, there is a lot of similarities between it, and everybody wants to win and not everybody wins, and there's some people sulking when they don't win, and like, boo-hoo, it's not me, and oh, you only won because you paid off somebody, or you only won because you're sleeping with so and so. So like, all of that is just identical between the two.
Wow, I'm blown away. I don't know what to say to that. It's amazing.
Well, it's the truth. So.
I don't know what to say. It's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah, but like, don't get me wrong. Like, not everyone that I've encountered in wrestling is like that. There's 99% of people I really like and I enjoy their company. There's just, everywhere you go in life, there are a few bad seeds that really just kind of spoil it for everyone else. And so I've encountered a few of those. Maybe it's a little less than 99% that I like. Maybe like 90. But Um,
65.
there are some really good people that I've met and that I really enjoy talking to and enjoy their company. Mainly, it's just Robbie. I'm just like,
exactly. He's the only one anyone really likes to talk to, and he doesn't like anybody. But like, what made you decide to move over to Australia over from the US?
a series of bad decisions.
Yeah,
No.
well, let's get into that.
Fell in love.
So,
You fell in love.
so my best friend, the present guy, tried to split me apart from. He actually moved to Australia. So his mom was a dual citizen, and I think he is too. So he moved over to Australia, and I was devastated. And so I eventually came over to visit, and I was here for 2 weeks, and I had met this random guy in a car next to me and had this crazy whirlwind romance for 2 weeks and was convinced to quit my job and sell all of my stuff and move to Australia. And so I did.
Damn, in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. Did not work.
That's power.
I was gonna say that's working fast. Shit.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's
But,
got
you know, no, he didn't. I was very distressed.
Hey, he got you to move here. He had to have something.
Blindsided completely. But, you know, YOLO. You only live once.
He had a good shine.
100%.
He had a good
Hey,
shine.
right.
He had a bad middle and he couldn't finish.
But you know what? I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, we all make decisions, though. Like, being over here and being in Australia for as long as you have, like, you must have had, like, a lot of positive, stuff happen here as well. Like, you've had, like, a couple of bad things as well, but have you seen some light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, I have. So, moving here in itself was the biggest challenge I've ever faced. I was pretty much born and raised in Virginia. Grew up with my family. Nobody ever really moved away. And I was kind of looking for another place to move. I was a little bit tired of Virginia. And anyway, Australia came up and I thought about it and just said, this is my chance. This is my chance to move. The absolute worst thing that can happen to me is that I go back home. Like, that's the absolute worst. Like, I am educated. I'm going to be able to get a job wherever I go. And moving here really showed me that I could do it. And it was hard. And when me and the guy that I moved here with split, like, I was left here with nothing. I had my job. I came home from an out of town working thing and all my stuff was packed up in storage. So, like, I came here, I came here kind of with, big high hopes, and I've really had to build myself up from the ground up. And now I'm in a career where I can use my biomedical engineering background, and I've really built it on my own. And I think that it's really hard, and it's hard being away from your family, but I did it, and it takes a lot to be able to do that. It's very hard.
Do you ever have moments? Do you ever have moments where you're like, oh man, I just want to go back home? Like,
all the time. Like, every time I get, a bad burger or the food's crap, I'm like, oh, I just want to go back to the South and get some food. But yeah, there's times when
coffee. Way better coffee.
That's it. But there's times when I'm like, oh, I just really need my mom, or I could really use going over to my sister's house and playing with her cat and talking to her. And it's the birthdays, the Mother's Days, the Father's Days, and Christmas and Thanksgiving that we miss out on. So at times it is really tough, and I do have my seasonal holiday emotional breakdowns. It's part of being in.
Why are you still here? How come you haven't made the big move back?
Well, I had to go and meet like another Aussie, which I'm engaged. I'm getting married in June.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Look at that rock! Congrats!
There's my
yeah.
Close from the audience.
Oh, okay. I was like, "What is that? Is there a plane crashing?"
No, it's a live studio here, guys.
Live studio applause. Yeah, there's been a lot of times where I'm like, okay, I'll just throw in the towel and go home. But for me, that was kind of quitting and giving up. And I've been over here so long. If I just leave and go home, the US is so different from the place that I left. So who just said that? She didn't vote for me. Who was that? You were too late.
You don't even have a picture of yourself. That's why, Millennium Man. There's no picture of you.
He's a
That's what
regular.
you look like.
Yeah. Yeah, like, because I think it's crazy though. Like, I think you can live like in like the most anywhere, like the most beautiful place in the world, right? But no matter what, like, there's no place like home. Like, there's always that thing where it makes you feel grounded.
People ask me all the time, like, "Oh, don't you love Australia more than the US because of all of our problems and all of our crazy people?" And I'm like, home is always going to be home for me. Like, everything that you see in the news that goes on over there, you don't see it when you go home. Like, we don't see all these people fighting and, you know, everybody, all these Karens like running around wild. We just like, really don't see it as much as it's put on TV that it's everywhere. So yeah, always.
The media and TV and shit just sensationalize shit. And I think like a lot of people, like even not just Australians, but people in other countries probably just see that and go like, oh yeah, that's the way that America is, like just driving around shooting each other and like eating hamburgers. Which is probably right, like half the time, right?
Yeah, I know. It's just not like that. But, and it was really hard, you know, with the election and everything, with, you know, everybody being a Trump hater over here. And I'm Republican, so I'm a Trump supporter. I've got my like Make America Great Again flags and MAGA hats and everything. So it's
my dad had a MAGA hat and he would wear it to fucking places, right? He'd wear it to my son's football game, and like you just see this like 7-year-old man just plodding along the fucking football field with Make America Great Again. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's something, you know, a lot of people here like, how could you vote for someone like that? And I'm like, okay, it's better than being a Democrat. Like, I don't think he was, you know, 100%. Like, I don't agree with 100% of everything that he said, but oh my God, look at Joe Biden.
I mean,
like, I just want to hide.
He doesn't move.
I think about it. He's just.
You go like this. Hello.
Did you see the comment he made?
Hello, anybody home?
Did you see the comment he made? Like I can't remember what exactly he said, but he said like the most racist thing, and it was like the most unintentionally racist comment that he ever could make. I don't want to say it on air because it was pretty horrible. Like, it's not horrible, but it was like, oh shit, bad taste. But like, have you guys seen that clip of him?
No, I don't think so. Well, I saw once where he was talking to, like, I think a basketball, or I don't know. I can't remember who he was talking to. Maybe it's another politician, and he called him like a famous basketball player. But I don't know. It was
like,
that one or something different.
His comment that he made was like saying, he's like, yeah, all children need a good education. It doesn't matter if you're rich or yeah. And I remember, like, I saw that, I was like, what?
I think he's just in a demented state, and he needs to go now.
But
well, I was just watching something the other day, like the women on The View asked him to apologize for making women uncomfortable. And he mumbles around like, and then eventually is like, oh, sorry, but not sorry. And it's just mixed children. He's just weird. Can we just move on past him and get Trump back 2024?
with all thing, like, yeah, I agree that Biden's weird, but like, you don't think Trump's a little bit off kilter, just a little bit, Nikki?
Yeah, but I think he was really good for our economy. And look at the U.S. economy now. It's garbage. You know, I still have my retirement fund over there, so I can still say that, you know, I'm affected by who is president there. And, you know, it's just crap now. It's just complete garbage. And when he was there, when Trump was in, it was just so much better. So
yeah,
I hope for my fellow Americans that we can get Trump back in 2024.
I mean, it's funny because I was watching I watched the series Young Rock, right? Have you guys seen it? Have you
I
guys
watched
seen
a little in there.
So the whole premise of the show is he's running for the presidency of the United States of America in like in 2035, right? Like, so it's basically a picture of him running for, and like I watched it with my wife, and the whole thing I was like going, this could actually happen. Like The Rock could actually become as a shoot, this could actually happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, we had Arnold Schwarzenegger as the governor. So, he wasn't born in the US, so he couldn't run for president. But, somebody like that, I think, that has a public interest and maybe a bit of trust from the public might be good. A good businessman is really what we need to run the country, not a pedophile. I'm not going to say anything else.
I kind of think it like Australian prime ministers, we haven't really had the best luck with leaders as well. And I think you're right. I think like from what I understood about seeing Trump, he read it like it was more like he looked at things like a business, and he ran things like a business. That's why the economy over there was so good, right? Like it was, he's a numbers guy at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think he just should have been a little bit less present on social media with this fake news, but it's him. And I think if he was doing a good job running the country, okay, let him have Twitter, let him have his social media pages. Anyway, that's a whole different can of worms.
Millennium Man just said, can we just get back to shooting the shit on shit workers and mud fans? Wow, that's what my podcast has come to. We just have people on, we just shit about people. Cool. I'm sorry that we didn't live up to your expectation, Millennium Man, but this is Shooting the Shit Uncensored, and we do things any way that I say that we do, and we'll talk about whatever we want to talk about. But we'll get on to that. Don't worry, bro. We've still got a bit of time.
Here we go. Top Russell Strong Dojo. There we go. We'll get it back.
Oh, shit. Damn. Wasn't expecting that.
I feel like I'm owed the chance of saying that. So
hey, you can say whatever you want here, Nikki. This is a complete open forum. If anyone doesn't like it, I have 3 options for them. They can contact me, talk to me about it, and we can have an adult conversation. You can say, I want to come on the podcast and call this shit out, and I'll bring you on and do it. Or the third one, go be a fan and watch the show.
Exactly. It's like, I forgot who said it.
I only have
it's like, why do people matter? But like, y'all are supporting me. So it kind of works the same way.
Can you actually ask tough questions? There you go. I think I've asked a couple of tough ones. Maybe you're not tuning in or listening too well, mate. But
maybe watching the podcast and not listening to it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's preoccupied. But we were talking earlier, and since he wanted a tough question, I'll throw something out. I did see on social media, and I did read this article about you, which involved an assault charge with an ex-partner. I don't want to go into the details too much because we haven't really talked about it before this. But you seem pretty open about stuff, so I just wanted to throw it out there and ask you, what was the situation? Do you feel like you want to talk about it? Can you talk about it?
Yeah, I can't. I don't want to push the boundaries with what I can speak about and what I can't. It is still before the court, so that's really all I can say right now. But please, believe you me, when this is done, I will be on here and I will tell you everything. I will tell you absolutely everything. But what is not shown in the news is, what that person was or what happened to me is not shown in that article. And there were things that happened to me that are before the court. And that's really all I can say. So what you've seen in the news is not the full story. But it should all be wrapped up in the next few months. But please have me back on and I will gladly talk to you about it. Gladly.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we definitely need to get you back on for a part 2.
Sorry, eyes are like doing something weird. My contact lenses are sticking to the inside of my eyeballs, and I'm like, I cannot see. Anyway, proceed. So I'm just like a doll. And yeah, it's why.
All good, but as far as for
Really.
yourself, besides doing the professional wrestling stuff, did you see any of the pageantry stuff that happens here in Australia? Have you had a chance to attend shows like that, see what they do?
I've done a pageant here in Australia, and I won a free trip back to the US, which was really nice. There's not a lot here in terms of pageantry. There's a couple pageant systems, but they're more of your, smaller ones. You do have Miss Australia Universe. I've never gone to it. I've always wanted to, but they don't advertise. Have you ever seen an advertisement for oh, Miss Australia Universe is this weekend? I think they could do so much more with advertising and getting people interested in their pageant. But
yeah, I actually knew one girl who did it, and she was she lives here, but she was Miss Fiji because her dad was Fijian, and then she was in the thing for Miss Australia or some shit. And this woman was telling me for her to do this stuff and compete at this level, she was saying they were doing weigh-ins at certain events and certain things she had to be on point in things like that. She's it's so intense.
Yeah. So one thing that I've kind of noticed, and there was a TV show and also, if you can tell, I have a black eye. I was microneedling my face and I hit a blood vessel. So no one hit me or anything, but did you know my makeup's sweating off? But one thing that I did notice in Australian pageants is, you've got Miss Congeniality and some other pageant movies, and they try to overcompensate, and it's they'll try to, make it bitchy because they know that's how American pageants are. Or they, want to make it you have to be a certain size or you have to be a certain height because that's how they think that American pageants are. When, most of the pageants I competed in the US were not like that. Some were catty, but some were really not. I ran pageants myself in the US, so I can say, the ones that I ran, I did not allow any of that garbage. But yeah, I think that some people see things in movies here and they're like, oh yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. And it's going to be catty and girls cutting each other's dresses and, spraying on each other's shoes. I've never witnessed any of that in the US. And I think there was a Lebanese pageant show here. And I saw so much weird cattiness that it was almost from a movie. You get what I mean?
They're acting a scene out of a movie, right?
Yeah, and it's they were acting to put this, whether it was for the TV show or whether they were being serious, I don't know. But this brutal cattiness, I've experienced it a little bit in U.S. pageantry. But like I said, I ran my own pageants in the U.S. and I tried to give the girls a much better experience than they had anywhere, because there's a lot of unfairness and a lot of favoritism that's always speculated that's going on in pageants. Yeah. When I won Miss Virginia, it was my first time trying. And one girl said that I paid off the judges. I'm like, these were, surgeons and doctors. And I wish I had that money back then, but I didn't. I didn't pay anybody off. I won fair and square. But you've always got somebody that's going to be a sour grape and think that you couldn't have won on your own merit or they didn't lose on their own merit.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's whenever people succeed, it's that's the first thing that they go for is let's try and tear them down or try and find the reason just to bring someone down who just succeeded in something or just won at something. And it's just a sad, society that we live in, but it's not, to be honest, it's not even the society that we live in. I think it's been going on for years and decades in multiple societies.
Yeah, definitely agree. It's you couldn't have gotten that through hard work. You must have cheated. No, I worked my ass off to win that pageant. And I felt like I deserved it. I worked so hard. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think, people don't see it because they don't see the work that goes into it. You know what I mean? That's where, I feel it doesn't really, people don't see the work that it involves to get there, so they automatically think, oh, this person was just handed everything on a platter, just given every situation.
Yeah. Well, another thing at PWA, a few of the girls there thought that I just got in because of my looks or, because of my pageantry or modeling or whatever, that I actually didn't, drive 8 hours a week to go to wrestling practice in Newcastle, that I didn't deserve to be there. And I do deserve to be there. I put in my hard work. Of course I put in my hard work, but nobody else cared to see it, and it's fine.
I think, people have this.
What I've done, and that's all that matters. I don't care what other people think.
But I think that's the thing. People would have these preconceived ideas, and I think from coming from the pageantry world into the wrestling world, and you know what I mean. I think straight away they think, oh, this woman's just being pushed straight away to, what I mean. They look at it from without looking at without the blinders on. They're just looking at it as one directional from what they see you as you walking in, as opposed to
that assumption without ever talking to me. I'm a nice person. You doesn't talk to me. Don't say something behind my back because you think this or think that. Come say hey. Just talk. Ask me what I've been doing, or ask if you have a question about how much effort I put in. Ask me. I'll tell you.
Or just come up and have a normal conversation, and you know what I mean? You learn very quickly what Nikki's about. You know what I mean? Just be a normal human being. Come up and say hi. How you going?
Exactly. I'm pretty nice, aren't I, Robin?
Yeah, you are.
You're being awfully quiet.
I know. Robin's very quiet.
It's not that I'm blushing. Now, you know what it is? It's actually lagging. So whenever you guys are saying something, I'm going, okay. I can't actually. So I have to change laptops constantly, going, what the hell's going on? So now I'm back.
We've had some internet issues tonight, and you know what? We've still been able to put out a pretty fire podcast as well. Nikki should start her own pageant contest here in Australia, get something going.
I already thought about it. It's in the works.
There you go.
Have you tried doing that? No? Have you tried doing that?
Here? No, but I used to run a pageant business in the US. It's not impossible to do. I just really need the time and some good sponsors as a backup.
I think it would be cool to do more of older women as opposed to just doing you know what I mean, the young women. Do something maybe 40 and above or something like that. Yeah. Let's get some of our older queens some love.
Are you after a cougar?
Hey, I'm a happily married man. I'm just thinking it's just, hey, it's a business idea as well. I think you'll get a lot of people interested in it.
Yeah. But one thing I really want to do is take it back to the old school, how beauty pageant started, which was a beauty pageant. You have your swimsuit like Miss Bondi Beach and just have it, a tasteful, swimsuit pageant. Because what beauty pageants were and what they are now are just miles apart. And I'm like, let's take it back old school, beauty contest.
So what makes it, what have they changed besides there's no bikini contest, there's no evening gown? The evening gown was too provocative.
So Miss USA has tried to keep true to the, old school beauty pageant, how everything was set up. Miss America's completely gone away from it. So I think it's just to be more inclusive. I don't know, you've got people kind of on both sides of the fence because yes, we have a swimwear competition, because I think a good role model for, kids is staying active and being physically fit. It's not. But, there are girls that win that don't have six-pack ripped abs. I never had six-pack ripped abs, and I never had to starve myself or, there were probably some unhealthy dietary practices when I was getting ready for Miss USA, of course. But, now that is changing, that we have more athletic bodies and we have girls with big muscles. And I don't know, Miss America is completely detracted from, an appearance aspect of Miss America. And while, yes, I see why they've done it, I don't necessarily agree with it. I think the swimsuit part of the competition has always been around. That's what started, that's what Miss Universe was. It was a swimsuit pageant. And I don't think that we should stray away from that too far. It's Miss America is basically a job interview now.
But I feel like you could still do like a swimsuit competition, and you could still be tasteful in a swimsuit, still look good in a different body shapes and stuff like that. And if you're competing for Miss USA, let's face it, you can get something custom made, right? Like it doesn't necessarily, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, my contact lenses are just like all over.
And everything's for peace, right?
Everything's what?
Everything's for world peace. Is that right?
Yeah.
After every speech,
peace. Well, then there's that. Yeah, there's, you know, a lot of people think that all the pageant girls are like world peace, and like I just want to solve world peace. Like the Miss America system is kind of like that. It's very political, and I competed twice for Miss in the Miss America system in a preliminary at Virginia, and they're very it's uncomfortable space for me. And they're basically asking, like, you know, who did you vote for? And what are your political stances on this? And if you've got a whole panel of Democrats and you're a Republican, like you're screwed regardless of what you look like. Whereas Miss USA is, you know, a bit more like, what do you like to do? What are your interests? And what do you do for work? And tell us something fun about yourself, which for me, it didn't work in my favor because I was the nerd, and you know, all I had to talk about was my nuclear engineering job and my studies, and like all of that, which is probably kind of boring to them.
They wanted the wishy-washy answers. They're like, "Yeah, I'm just excited to be here."
I wasn't like fun and like bubbly and like, yeah, I wasn't really my fun stuff. I was too serious when I went there. I was like, who am I? And I had a big like existential crisis when I came home and all of that. So that was fun. But,
right.
Like, so, you go, Piers.
No, you go, Rob, please.
No, I was basically going to go. I was going to say, so, you know, from there, where do you see yourself going, you know, going forward? Like, do you see yourself going back into any of that, or, you know, is wrestling working for you, or you're just having a good time? What are you doing?
I'm really just having a good time. So I don't really see myself competing again. If I can ever get back over to the US when a pageant's going on, then, you know, I might compete again, but probably not competing in Australia. But, you know, you never know. Now I've accepted a new job. So I just started last week, and I've gotten a, you know, basically big promotion. And I think right now I really need to focus on work and my career. So it's, you know, not really just a job. Like I have a career, I want a career, and I've got this wedding coming up and adjusting to married life. But, you know, I still want to wrestle. I don't want to wrestle every weekend, but I still want to wrestle. And I have a belt now, so I want to keep my belt for a while and be the champion and just enjoy my wrestling.
Show us the belt. Where's the belt?
Oh my God. I can't get up because I did the whole like work from home where I have on a top, but like my bottoms don't match. It's like a dress that I've just like pulled on because I wanted to wear my Miss USA shirt here.
Yeah, let's promote Phil's belt. Let's bring Phil's belt out. Belt. Let's join the Picasso train. Shout out to APW. Look at that.
Hey, that's a nice looking strap.
Really nice.
That's a good looking strap.
It's nice. It is a beautiful belt.
Oh, it definitely is. Is that your first championship you've won?
Yes, it is. It's my very first, probably my only.
It's her first time. Unbelievable.
Who did you beat to win the belt?
Flame.
Oh, damn. Damn.
Yeah. No, we had a Who knows? One day I might pass that off to her. So,
That's it. But it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 Seconds with Piers. Tune in for the first time. How this works is I've got a bunch of questions I'm going to ask Ms. Poteet, and she's got 60 seconds to answer as many as she can. Nikki, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we'll start now. What is your most embarrassing story from school?
From school, I slipped and fell in front of this guy, Keith, that I really liked, and I smashed my head into the lockers.
The last show you recorded or downloaded?
It's Sword and Scale, so I love this true crime podcast, so I always listen to them.
Okay. How do you take your coffee?
I don't drink coffee. I drink green tea.
Okay. What is the shittest gift? What is the shittest gift you have ever given someone?
My love. I don't know. The shittest gift I've ever given somebody. Probably regifting. I've regifted a couple things like makeup and regifted.
What was your first? Who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh, Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray. Still is. Never will go away.
What did you get in trouble for most as a kid?
Throwing temper tantrums. I just could not control myself.
Snapchat or TikTok?
TikTok.
Favorite song to sing in the car?
Ooh, favorite song, anything by Adele. Probably Make You Feel My Love, because I think I can secretly sing. So.
What is something that you are embarrassed to admit that you like? Kind of like a guilty pleasure.
Like, I can't say anything sexual, right?
You can say whatever you like on this podcast. We are completely
okay, no, actually, I love to sew. I don't know if you can see like my sewing machine over in the back corner. Probably not. But anyway, I love to sew like a really old lady. I make my own wrestling clothes and I make dresses.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
There you go. And last question. In 5 minutes' time, you're being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
Okay. I'm not going to take my phone. I'll probably take like some fried chicken, and I'll take like my caffeine powder that I put in my water.
There you go. That's it. That's 60 Seconds with Piers. And this has been Nikki Poteet on Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Nikki, this hour and 12 minutes has gone absolutely flown by. We've had Mr. Amateur Hour, the future pageant king, in and out of this podcast all night. Next time, we're going to have to make sure we all have stronger internet connections before it. Yes. But where can everyone find you on social media, Nikki, and where can they buy some merch?
Yeah, actually, I'm so bad. I haven't made any merch. I really need to. But so you can find me on social media at Have You Seen Nikki on Instagram, or just like find me on Facebook, Nikki Poteet. Just shoot me a message on there. I love to talk to my fans.
There you go. And final question from the audience wants to know, who was the stinkiest wrestler? And they both want to know, who was the stinkiest wrestler?
Oh my God. Can I say? I can't say. That's too mean.
Yeah, you like not about naming and shaming body odor.
Oh, well, no. It was someone from Melbourne.
Okay. Well,
I know him.
Them. You got to say them. You got to say them.
It was a man. Like, it was a man. Like,
oh.
You know who's Robbie, don't you? I've told you.
But with that, we're going to get out of here, guys. But I finish every podcast off with this, Nikki. I've got one more question for you, and I ask every guest in this interview, what has been the one question I didn't ask that you really wish that I did ask, and how would you have answered that question?
Maybe one thing you didn't ask was maybe how I felt about like all the news articles and how I deal with, all the people saying their things about me. A lot of people never ask how I feel.
I'm sorry
about it. But no, it's fine. Like, people kind of don't really think to. They're just like, oh my God, like, tell us what happened. And it's like, it's been a really traumatic experience. But yeah. But no, we'll talk about it later, though. It's for the next show.
You know what? I definitely want to get into that in the next show. I definitely do. But you know why I think that like people don't ask that, and I'm going to put that out there. And Rob, you tell me what you think, is because you project this level of confidence, and you see that when you're around you. You see that when you talk to you. You come across like one of these people that, you know, just water off a duck's back, whatever, you know what I mean? And that's why, like, you come across as such a strong person that I think people think you take that shit in your stride and be like, whatever. If it's bullshit, it's
no, I completely understand that. And like in a lot of ways I do, but still, like, whew, it's been a roller coaster ride, let me tell you.
I can imagine. But we'll get into that in the next episode. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Make sure you go like, share, subscribe, give us a 5-star review on a podcast platform. But until next time, it's been Nikki Poteet, Robbie Zuko, and the Dad Bod God, Piers Austin. We're signing off. Till the next time, take care. All the best. Peace.